What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Night Shift. I'm Jake. I'm joined, of course, by the lovely Jason Kaplan, who's great at doing CTAs, by the way. You know, chat, back me up on this one. But we got some great action for you guys this week in North America. And of course, the prize pool is doubled, all thanks to Intel Gamer Days. Amazing discounts available, guys, across this month. So it's a great time to get into the action. Check out !IGD in the chat for more info there.
Yeah, and there's some sick things you can get. There's some really sick deals as well, which we'll be talking about later on with a special shop segment brought to you by not this guy, the other guy for once. We'll be doing those.
My turn.
It's your turn to lure everyone into the shop to spend their hard-earned souls. It's been really cool to see, man, because obviously it's great to have Intel back. They were one of our first supporters when we first started Night Shift. They even support us back in Fight Night, but to have them keep coming back is so great to see, and they're one of our favorite partners.
Yeah, it's a great company to partner with, and we're really happy that we can give that back to the players, level up the prize pools. And in EU, man, for Buff Enjoyers, that was impressive work, right? They put that one away with extreme prejudice. Abrams was battling in both of those series, but Buff Enjoyers just on a level of their own meta-wise. And speaking of the meta, things have been shaken up. I'm almost a little bit glad that one only went to game 2, because the chaos of having to play a game 3 decisive for a series on a new patch would have been a little bit too crazy, even for my taste. Yeah. So let's take a look, though, at some of these patch notes now and just go over them. I actually think this is correctly labeled a relatively minor patch, although I think some of the most significant heroes in the meta were pretty significantly changed. So we'll have to see if competitively this changes how these NA squads want to draft, because this is Deadlock. We got to roll with the punches. We will be playing on the new patch for the NA games today.
I like how you said it was correctly labeled. I think Yoshi's learning, man, because some of these minor updates have not been minor whatsoever. But this is kind of my first time seeing it. I had to run downstairs and get something to drink for this one. So seeing the Atani Losan, you can cancel it with movement abilities, I think is quite interesting. So you can kind of get out of it, maybe use a debate. Though I do wonder, does it reset the cooldown? Does it use the cooldown?
I think there were just bugs with it before. I hope this fixes. There was a bug with Unstuck, which we have.
Oh, it was. Sorry, I misread it.
Because when I read this, it sounds like there was another way to cancel it. Maybe it means you could precast it. I actually didn't know there was a way to cancel it. So there must have just been more bugs besides the Unstuck bug that allowed you to kind of do weird things with the ultimate. Sure, it's an alpha game, guys, as part of it. The riposte melee stuff, I honestly I don't think it's a bad thing for Apollo to get some buffs. I think he's good, but not necessarily crazy. And they seems like they want to push the potential for an interesting sort of melee frontliner build for him. So I think this is kind of a cool change. I don't think generally people really put points into riposte, and this has been the way that they buff a lot of characters in the past. If there's a skill that people just aren't really investing points into, they don't really want to compete for it, you want to give the character a buff, make that skill a little more interesting, open up some new build paths for the hero. So I think these are kind of interesting changes. Maybe we will see some melee Apollo. Honestly, not completely crazy in my mind.
I'm looking down a little bit lower though, and
this is the biggest change.
This is the biggest interesting, man. We've talked about him being the #1 pick in any region, basically. But base health regen, yeah, that's a hit. But the change to the Rising Ram, that you don't deal 7% max health damage, I think is a big gutting to his kit in terms of the burst damage that he can put out. But you do gain survivability on top of that with the extra 10% max HP.
Yeah, the thing is, to be honest, I think generally people were rushing the max AP invest on Rising Ram because 7% max health is such a crazy amount of damage, right? If somebody has a few thousand HP, this could easily turn into plus 300, 400, 500 spirit damage, which is totally wild for a nuke to, especially when you want to go in on frontliners and you want to be attacking those enemy tanks. Graves, zombies, the ghouls used to also deal max HP damage. That was reverted pretty quickly. It was just a crazy stat in general to do max HP damage. So I think it's good that it went away. I also think Billy could still be a good hero. I just think it'll be a new build path where, yeah, the 10% HP it's nice, but I don't know if I really see people going for the tier 3 investment for a little bit of survivability. When in the end for Billy, I think you're mostly concerned with dealing damage, disrupting the enemy.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be interesting to see if NA is just going to continue to play Billy the same way or maybe change things up, because it's really hard to do so on such a quick turnaround. But Doorman, another interesting change. Obviously, we got CMD played once. They destroyed
the kidnap build. Not destroyed the kidnapping build. It's probably still good, but kidnapping people, carting them under a walker, and getting walker stumped to death was one of the worst interactions in the game. So I actually think this is a really good change. Effectively, I don't know how this actually plays in the patch, but I think it'll just not be such a reliable stun combo to
Yeah.
1-2 punch them into a walker stomp in like the mid game, because at a certain point in the game, 15-20 minutes in, where Doorman can plausibly catch you with this combo to put you under a walker, and you just full die to a walker stomp, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You just don't have the items to deal with it at that point. So I think these are really good changes. I still think Doorman's going to be a very, very good hero. It's just a little bit less egregious to get like solo killed by Doorman in the mid game, especially in ranked, where it's kind of hard to like collectively do something about the Doorman.
Spirit scaling hit on Ren. I think that kind of makes sense, to be honest.
That's
like Drifters.
That's a big nerf though. 0.3 is hefty.
It's a lot, yeah. But we've also seen Drifter just be like such a staple pick as well over the last like month and a half. So it kind of makes sense they want to put him a little bit more in line. And the Stalker's Mark, I mean, increasing the cooldown, increasing it to 26 seconds, but then you get that back when you invest in a tier 2, like you said, just kind of balancing around the abilities a little bit. So you.
Oh no, it's really even worse, right? Because I think the cooldown is longer and the perk is worse. Right?
Oh yeah, you're right. I see. You know what? You just do these patch notes. I'm gonna keep drinking my energy drink here because I can't read. And you just take it away.
No, I mean, they have done, I will say, exactly that kind of change so many times, where they take base cooldown and they nerf base cooldown, and then they buff it on the AP invest. So it's like, well, you can still get that good cooldown, but you have to invest a little more into it now. This is a double nerf, right? Where both the cooldown the invest is worse, and the base cooldown. But I think time will tell if these are too big of nerfs. I think Drifter, the spirit nuking, has really become the dominant way to play him competitively with some minor gun invest. Maybe you just hit the spike and that's it. I wonder if this doesn't change that a little bit, but I also wonder if that doesn't just really hurt Drifter's pick priority. Holiday Powder Keg, also, I think this is a pretty big nerf, that half of the damage is done over 3 seconds. Someone was saying in the chat that you can also dispel that damage over time, which makes sense because generally every other damage over time you can dispel, which could be pretty interesting. It doesn't strike me as that bad for the hero, because a lot of the times you're like barreling somebody and then you're going to lasso them when there's nothing they can do to dispel the damage anyway. But it does make people, maybe saving people from a holiday, a little bit more reasonable. You have a little bit more of a window. I
don't hate that it kind of helps alleviate the fact or the feeling that you have no counterplay to the kegs. Because like when you get hit, you get knocked up. There's nothing you can do. The damage is so bursty. You get hit again, you get knocked up. Like if you play against a decent holiday, they're not really going to miss these kegs. But at least it feels like there's a little bit of counterplay, at least team play around it. Like you're saying, you can dispel yourself, but maybe you can actually heal some of this damage instead of instantly being bursted down. So I kind of like this change, honestly. Though I'm curious, will that affect holiday being played? Because we've had it picked in 100% of the games today so far in EU.
Yeah, I don't think this is enough of a change to make Holiday an unattractive character, honestly. I still think she looks pretty good, and in the end, like, the damage is the same in theory. A lot of the time people will be able to outplay it or have some counter, but a lot of the time they won't. So I don't mind this. A little stone form, stun duration reduction on the max AP invest for Ivy. Yeah, the Echo Shard double stomp was still a little bit crazy. Maybe this is more of a pub issue. We haven't seen Ivy be too dominant here in the night shift, but it's a small change here and there. Fall off range on Lash.
I like this, actually. Yeah. So you can't just like float in the sky as a gun Lash like we've been seeing with Siphon Bullets and just get maximum value. I'm gonna let you make sure I'm reading this correctly, because I've been like wrong on 2 out of 2 so far.
I was also like, I think I understand what this means. So I believe this means the fall off begins at 18 meters instead of 20. And I guess it caps at 54, so you hit like the minimum damage a little bit earlier. So yes, it's just a nerf to the range of the gun. Although to me, this seems pretty small. I mean, I have to see how this plays out, but especially if you're going to buy like Headhunter and Siphon Bullets, you don't care so much about your base gun damage, I guess. I mean, although we have seen a lot of Lashes effectively be the gun carry of the team. So yeah, it's a small change that maybe incentivizes a little bit more spirit-based play. But McGinnis... Okay, in fairness, guys, this character was on like 60% win rate. This character needed a little beat down with the ugly stick, but oh lord, she got it. I love the mini turrets no longer aggroing people on zip lines. I have been hyperlined by the McGinnis turrets so many times that it tilts me out of control. So yeah, no resist for the early spawn. So it's a lot more punishable, I think, and a lot less aggravating to deal with if you're, fighting around on the turrets in general.
I think this does make like the support McGinnis build that we've been seeing, like Saint compared to Zergy here, a little bit more viable, because now the turrets are also a lot tankier, right? They have 10 more base HP and they also get 1.2 extra health per boon. I don't know how that's actually going to work out in a late stage of the game, but it sounds like the turrets are just going to be not too tanky, but like a lot more to deal with now if you ever want to take them down quickly in a fight. But then again, I don't really see most teams destroy these when they're set up like at a mid boss. You just kind of avoid them.
Yeah, I do think it'll make the sort of like when you're preset your turrets at a specific position and you're like, we will fight this mid boss. I have 7 turrets up. That's arguably going to be better now because you weren't really relying on any of the decaying or, you know, the as you place resists. But it's not massive. And at some point in the game, the damage from gun carries like so overwhelming that the turrets just die in one second anyway. It's more about looking around to shoot them is the more annoying thing than actually doing the damage. This Medicinal Spectre, though, losing the 40% resist on T1, that's been moved to T3. People will still max the resist. Like, I can see McGinnis maybe still being good and getting to that tier 3 invest, but it's a lot less effective in the early game, and you need to get a little bit deeper into the late game for it. And those reduced gun scaling values, I think you're absolutely right. I think those do a lot of damage to like the hard carry McGinnis that we've been seeing more of, and maybe if you still want to pick the hero, it might end up being more supporty, debuff oriented.
I'm sure someone out there is going to make it work though for McGinnis, let's be honest. And then moving on to Paige, though, plot armor. Okay, so a little bit of extra scaling when it comes to that being used. We finally got to see her played for the first time, and honestly, I could not tell you how long it's been for Paige, but to see it actually being picked today was quite a surprise over in EU. I don't really know if there's much more to say about that as we look at 7. Oh.
7 getting the lightning ball build. All right, the lightning ball build is actually too much fun, so I'm gonna have to try 7 again just to play this build because it's so much fun. You just gobble up all the farm on the map, and that little base radius goes a long way when you're like all in on the range stat. But it's still 7. Probably not gonna see too much of him here on the night shift. We'll see Stake, a little bit of minor damage reduction, a little bit of the early game nuking, not quite as good as it once was. But you know what Hoot showed on Vindicta is a lot more than the stake damage that this character can threaten.
Yeah, I wish we had like a damage breakdown of where most of that came from, because it was crazy to see. It was under the radar for the entire game. He was actually putting up the most damage numbers in that last matchup against Abrahams. But Viper, I feel like Viper's been relatively untouched for such a long time, but increasing her Bola radius from 8 to 12. I mean, she was kind of one of the best mid takers in the game, or at least mid stealers, because of the petrifying bullet. When you maxed it out, you knew you couldn't really just take a free mid boss against Viper. And they also increased the duration as well, making it more likely you can steal. But to me, from what we're seeing just there alone, I don't know if that's enough to make her viable currently in the game.
It's kind of interesting. Like maybe there's like a Spirit Viper build. Like, I mean, for a while that was something people played, like the Homeless Viper, you know, super early roaming and then kind of playing into the Spirit late game rather than the gun that it feels like as a sliding based hero that, yeah, you should want to use a lot of gun damage, but hey, maybe this incentivizes people to look a little bit more towards the Spirit, towards the team fighting and the tempo style. And some minor nerfs on Wraith. These are not major. Wraith is one of those heroes, I think, that is way more problematic for most players than it is competitively, because most players just don't punish her hard enough, which is essentially have to force her card trick and then keep going and keep chasing her and keep running, and that requires a lot of coordination. So yeah, maybe understandable Wraith getting a little bit of a nerf here, but these don't strike me as super crazy nerfs, right? Yeah, the T3 Spirit's carrying on full auto, a little bit less like late game carry potential, but Wraith is still going to be a monster on 50, 60k souls.
I think it's really hard as a dev team in general to balance the game around all aspects and all ranks, because as we've seen with like Shiv, exactly, you can nerf Shiv as much as you want, but he can still be really viable at the highest level, whereas the lowest level doesn't really know how to make it work. And same here with Wraith. I mean, she was already weak at the highest level, maybe strong at the lowest level, but you're kind of trying to put her, I guess, more in line across the board. But yeah, I don't know, this it's really tough. I don't think there's anything that's, like you said before, too game changing. Though I do want to see how Billy's going to be played today, because I still see and imagine it's going to be like a first pick throughout North America.
Yeah, it's a super interesting change, because it takes something away that honestly I would argue Billy didn't need. That crazy amount of Spirit Nuke on the Rising Ram, being an ability that has a shorter cooldown by successfully connecting it. It made it like tank busting so good to do with it. Now maybe you look more to like get on the back line and play more of a gun damage focused style. I don't know. There's definitely going to be some opportunity for creativity, but still a lot of these heroes like McGinnis, I could still see McGinnis getting played. You know, maybe it's just some tweaks to how she is played. Losing some base Spirit resist from the boons though, that might hurt overall. Maybe that is enough to kind of like take her out of the running for the top tier play. But that's why we have the best teams here in North America to show us what they think their theory crafts are going to be quite a bit more reliable than ours. And as we get into this first match, it's Melee Creeps taking on Bird with Clock. And let's just take a look at these rosters, Jason. A lot of familiar faces, of course, here on the Melee Creeps with Poshipop subbing in.
It's just something feels right in the world when you see Poshipop and Melee Creeps back together. It's been so long since he's departed from the team. I don't know. I'm so happy to see him come back on this roster as a sub. We don't know if it's an extended thing, but most likely just a sub for today while they try to figure out their sixth player because he is currently the coach for the team. Also, for me, like I haven't cast in North America in a long time. That's probably because I'm over in EU and it's like 2 a.m. for me, and it's gonna be going till at least 6 a.m. But to get to cast Goober again, like the last time I cast him back was when he was a Sneaky Golem. Such a long time ago, and just to hear how much he's been improving and how much better he's been playing has been really cool to see his kind of glow up. But also Saya, I mean, what role can't Saya play within this team? I swear he's played almost everything at this point.
Certainly a lot of flexibility across the board here. I also want to give a call out to Braden and Birdie, some of our relatively newer players here competing on the night shift, but who've looked impressive. And honestly, to have the trust of the rest of the squad, I think speaks volumes about their potential and the excitement surrounding them as players. Last week was a pretty tough one for Melee Creeps, but this is it's essentially a new team, despite how recognizable the brand is for longtime fans of competitive Deadlock and the night shift in particular. You're not going to be strangers to the Melee Creeps, but a lot of new players. Effectively, for me, this is a new team, so they're still in that early era of trying to figure things out. And hey, any level of early success in that phase of a team's life cycle, for me, is impressive. But of course, they're not in this one alone. Let's take a look at their opponents. Honestly, for Bird with Clock, I feel like it's been a struggle for them, but now DMB coming into the lineup, and DMB has been a huge impact pickup for many teams in the past, has really been a player who feels like not just his individual play, but having him on the team seems to elevate a lot of different rosters. And this Bird with Clock team seems like one that is ripe for that level of improvement.
Yeah, I think we've been really looking towards Arctic for the most part of being like the carry for the team, thinking back to his was like 17-0 Shiv game he had like a month, 2 months ago. But I think DMB, as you pointed out, he definitely is always a strong addition to a roster. But I think maybe the one caveat I'll give to that is that you kind of have to play around DMB a little bit and like the style he likes to bring into a team, because he's such a good player when it came to individual farm and being like a threat on the map and just soaking up a lot of the souls as much as he possibly can, then come into the fights and start to carry. But one thing I will ask you, Jake, because I'm a little behind on North America, Erebus, I think one of the big talking points about him as a player was like hero pool, and Bebop obviously very good at, but when you play at this kind of level, if your hero pool hasn't really extended past 1, 2, maybe 3 heroes, then you start to struggle when teams are able to focus you out.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I think Bebop is going to be an exceptionally contested pick in this series, right? With both Goober and Erebus kind of having it as their calling card. These are both players who have had their teams go for the first pick Bebop in the past. And so, yeah, I think that one's going to be top of mind in the drafting phase for both of these squads. But in the BO1, the draft is going to count for a lot, and there's no opportunity to test or experiment. This is just up to your read on the new patch. What do you think can work? How do you think you can put it together? You got to do it live here on the night shift, just like the rest of us. So honestly, I'm really excited to see this one. Let's take a look, though, at, of course, the Mo and Krill 1v1, a tradition here on the night shift of the challenger match to determine who gets that draft priority, who gets to decide to whether to go first or second.
Whoa.
Into the subway, in the tunnels, huh? We're getting down.
We never fight here.
In the subway.
Okay, I'm down for it. You know, a little change of scenery here.
I like it.
Up against Scout.
Close quarters, no backing down, no running away. The way moles should fight.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Saya's had this one unlocked, but that was a good parry.
Parry kind of brings him back in, but Saya's been a stalwart in the melee 1v1's going to get some extra damage in here. Scout super low, needs a parry. So brutal to come back into this. Saya doesn't bite, just finishes with the double quick. Well played.
That's the worst feeling, man. When you parry when you're in low health and you just like, okay, I'm done. Like you just know there's nothing you can do about it.
Let it come. Let it end. Finish me.
Maybe we should like up the ante and we give rebuttals to the team.
Give rebuttals.
Because then you actually could like come back, right? Because you can heal up from the parries. Maybe there's a world where we can level it up a bit there.
That could be interesting. We could do lots of crazy stuff. We could have different heroes in the 1v1, but maybe that would be sacrilege. Maybe that would be too far.
Seen two Rems beat each other up. I'm all for it. I know
my
ZQ
God.
would be for it.
Two Rem melee 1v1. Maybe you can use the pillow. All right, melee creeps with the first pick. They're going to ban out Doorman. I do think the thing about the Doorman changes is that the nerfs are really marginal for the way Doorman is being played competitive.
Yeah.
Like in pubs, the kidnapping the strat is like insane. It's, if you can know how to really pilot it, it's really powerful. But competitive players, they seem to be pretty good at punishing that kind of a play and Doorman's passivity on the map if he builds that way. But still, I mean, the range nerfs really, I don't think it's enough to really change that Doorman allows you to contest mid-boss and various objectives in ways that no other hero in the game does. So melee creeps want to get it out of here, don't want to deal with it, and they go for the first pick Pocket. Okay, I mean, Pocket untouched completely, right, in that last patch, so maybe they think a little bit less Billy gameplay might make more room for Pocket to succeed.
Are you a Doorman player, by the way?
No, I think I have 0 games in the hero. I've played a lot against him, though. I mean, it's a very popular pick in high MMR.
I was gonna say, like, when you're talking about, like, you know, kidnapping players and Under the Walker, I saw like a small little grin on your face, like you're doing this in all your.
It's a hilarious like strat, you know, like only in Deadlock will this be a viable build. It's like, it's just like you just don't interact with any other part of the game. You're just getting people back into your own base over and over again. It's yeah, shades of the Dota 2 Fountain Hook for any very, very old school fans from that one. Hey, Billy Pocket. I like this for melee creeps. Like, the nerfs to Billy are not that bad. Chain Gang is still a ridiculously potent team fight tool. And with Affliction to follow it up, I really, it's like the best setup in the game to get a huge Affliction, pull everyone together. And not just Affliction, you layer in the cape and the satchel, and you do a lot of damage there to get the Venator as well for a premium frontline carry here.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think almost to some extent, even if the changes are kind of big, unless they're like just decimate the hero, you kind of have to send it if you've been practicing with it, because I feel like it's too integrated into the composition you're trying to run and like the strategy you're trying to execute here. But seeing Bird with Clock, they do get Erebus on the Bebop here. I mean, he's a good Bebop player, but is he gonna be good enough here to help carry this through? Because like choosing a Calico and a Lash as your first two, but not pick Billy, it's so weird coming from EU to go into North America and see this play out like that when Billy would be like snatched up right away.
Well, on the other hand, though, I kind of think this is the sort of style that Buff and Jars have been so successful with, where they haven't necessarily drafted the most overwhelming team fight, and sometimes they've given the other team pretty terrifying team fight combos. They gave up Pocket Billy one of their games, and they really just play the movement game, play to outplay on the map, and just create enough pressure where the enemy just doesn't get the real comfortable team fight they're looking for with engagements to split up. And for now, yeah, with Apollo too, it kind of follows along that theme of like, hey, we're all just gonna individually, we're all gonna outplay and never let your Billy get a big chain gang. Sure, you're gonna chain gang our Bebop when he goes for a hook and you'll get a good initiation, but if nobody else gets caught and all of us are pressuring you from different angles, you know, I can see how this kind of style works. I love melee creeps responding with the Mina, though, because it's a hero that can keep pace with that level of mobility and can maybe punish anybody who gets too big for their britches out on the flank.
Yeah, and like, who's going to be the one to really shut Amina down right now? Like Calico, you're not really going to be up in the air trying to deal with their Lash.
It's about to get
not ideal target either. And the fact that you have like a Bebop, you have to hook when you have three Sangwon retreats away. It's going to be really hard to shut down Mina in particular. Then also seeing the Goo Man being played, I'm hoping it's going to be Goober. You think Viscous? You think Goober for sure? Though it's probably not going to be going his way, as you can see there. Birdie and Sai have been playing it as of late. But Viscous also like I feel like a decent pickup here, because you shut down like the burst out of Calico. You potentially can shut down like the Tiny Little Sun out of Apollo. You can save someone, but you also get the extra like escape ability, and also I guess like the shutdown for the whole W out of the enemy team if you can get some knockbacks with the puddle punches, because that's the way we've been seeing the changes go towards Viscous. It's more towards puddle punch instead of your splatter.
And Bird with Clock are going to keep it up, playing aggressive. I mean, it's really just the Geist to hold down like the late game carry potential. Lash, though, maybe can also follow suit in that, but a lot of individualism, a lot of high mobility characters, less in the way of like team fight lockdown. For melee creeps, I think it's a lot more straightforward how they win a team fight. Like with the Ivy last pick as well, I actually quite like this. Then I think maybe it is more likely that it's a Goober Viscous, with Saya often playing frontline for this team. I could see him on Billy, Birdie. I think Ivy is like very much a comfort pick there, but I like Billy and Ivy together. I think that's a really nice, maybe even underrated combo. Not only Ivy dropping the Billy into the backline in a team fight can set him up for like a crazy chain gang, but also your follow-up on the chain gang is insane with like, the Stone Form Stomp being just super potent, punishing everyone when they all grouped up, as well as just healing Billy, putting your Kudzus on the ground, maybe an Alk Fire as well. So I think Melee Creeps have a really nice draft here. 2 really good saves with the Ivy ult and the cube to maybe deal with some of the tempo from Bird with Clock. For Bird with Clock, I think to win with this kind of a draft, you really need to have just monstrous individual skill on the lanes here. You need to kind of come out ahead, be tempoing kills in the mid game with Apollo, Calico, and Shiv, so that Geist gets ahead of the game and is just at some point has free farm for long enough that Melee Creeps are under too much pressure. But for Melee Creeps, on the other side, I think they have pretty decent lanes. They have a very, very scary team fight. I think they've kind of got everything they wanted in this draft. It's going to be up to Bird with Clock to just show that their individual skill is in fact high enough to pilot this kind of draft.
Yeah, I like how you said like earlier, the individualism out of the comp out of Bird with Clock. And I think that's, as you're talking about, a very important factor, because to me, that kind of worries me, because we don't really see that be successful in a lot of these EU games. Like, individualism doesn't really win you the games. It's about team play. And I think maybe that's just due to the way EU plays, more around teams and more around working around each other than like individual standouts, because I think the skill level is, maybe the skill gap is a lot closer in EU than it is in North America. But seeing Arctic on Shiv, first of all, we talked about a 17-0 run that he had on Shiv before. That's already going to be scary. DMB also getting a comfort hero when it comes to Geist. I mean, they have a lot of comfort heroes, I think, for them, as you said, with the individualism. But can you make that work against such a strong team as Melee Creeps is going to be shown here.
Yeah, McGinnis, though, untouched. I think maybe both these teams feeling that, okay, the nerfs. And now that I think about it more, McGinnis having base spirit resist per boon, that was basically slashed in half. And that is a stat that is almost insane to have on any character, right? And McGinnis is so immobile, it kind of feels like it makes sense on her that she needs some way to resist just incoming nukes from burning her down. But losing a lot of that stat power for me is probably maybe the biggest nerf of all to the kit. She's just more vulnerable to, lashes and Apollos dancing over her head and just raining down nukes from above. Maybe both teams sensing they don't want to really get into that kind of a situation here, even with, the value of the mid-boss contest and the wall looking pretty good in this meta. Melee Creeps, though, but not going to reinvent the wheel. I mean, this is a draft we wouldn't have been surprised to see earlier in EU or in last week's. Like, they're sticking with what works, and I do like teams that don't overreact to a new patch, especially one that isn't that big.
For OCs, that's so funny. By the way, the predictions for this game are kind of ridiculous. It's 1.1 million channel points in favor of Melee Creeps and 200,000 for BWC. So to me, that tells me you at least got to bet on BWC here, because the return on investment
value
there.
Bet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy value. You could get rich quick off of a Bird with Clock win. I will say with Bird with Clock, they've been so consistently the third place team in NA. Like, they have had so many appearances in this challenger match, and yet very few berths into the actual money match on Night Shift. And it's got to wear on you as a team, right? Where you're close, you are a solid team. Like, we don't invite just anybody. We're always looking for the team that has genuinely the best chance to compete, the best scrim results. And they have been hovering at that sort of just outside the top 2 level now for months, it feels like. So curious to see if DMB could be just the injection of fresh blood that Bird with Clock need to maybe take their game to the next level.
I mean, just sounds like they're the NA Leviathan, man. Just waiting for their moment to finally break through. Leviathan were sitting in third place forever. But the crazy thing is like, Bird with Clock probably arguably the third, fourth best team in North America. But when you play against like the number 2 best team or the number 1 best team, like the subtle differences in the skill of the team or skill in the individual just really gets magnified in a team game like this, and you really get punished. And that's how big gaps can be created. Even though, you might be the number 2, number 3 team playing against each other, it might not look like that sometimes. But either way, we already see some early pressure coming out of Tanner here, taking decent amount of damage as a parry comes on through, prevents the backup here out of Arctic, looking for that early kill. But you can see the pressure already being applied. Saya extremely low in health.
Yeah, really risky move from Saya. Like, if he doesn't get that parry, he is 100% dead. So maybe a little scary. I mean, if you get a clean reset on Saya, it is actually quite good for the lane. I mean, it's going to free a lot of solo souls to Braden, but he's not. I mean, he's going to reset, but Braden is taking a beat down in this lane. Is there even a freeze going on? It seems seems like they're attempting a freeze here, so Brayden may lose some souls in this lane, and that's going to be pretty big for the eco, especially for a Shiv Apollo lane. And Mina's health pool, man, that is a pretty scary prospect to be on low HP. Like, the dive can come in fast and furious at any moment.
Yeah, Shiv and Apollo, that's an easy dive for you.
Oh, hook on mid. Oh, but he's too good.
He's punished.
Okay, John's too good. He got hooked in. He got super low. DMB dives for the kill. He just gets parried under the Guardian, and John's going to get a reset. Ivy's super healthy here. Birdie's going to be not really losing much of anything in the lane. Brayden did die while we went away, so that lane's kind of going from bad to worse, with Apollo and Shiv getting fed pretty efficiently. Poshpop gets super low, needs to get bailed out by Goober. Calico's still thinking about this fight, but this is getting scary. Viscous is putting in a lot of damage. Looks like Pocket is going to go down. Lash perfectly comfortable to hit that chase down.
It's a good start, though. I mean, if we're talking about, Bird Clock forever being the third place team in North America, being able to go head to head against melee creeps early on is very important. I think it's more about your transition into the mid game, more important than the late game, especially around a comp that's based around your individual skill, not necessarily like how the team synergizes together with these heroes. That
Mina just at level 3. He literally got the creep for this Sanguine during the fight and just barely has the movement to get up to the high ground, but that is scary. Good rotation in from Birdie, though. I love this timing coming in to disrupt Arctic and Tanner. Brayden wants to even get in, do a little bit more damage, but he's so incredibly low, but with Arctic falling, maybe not much risk to him, so DMB responding with a counter roam on Geist, of all heroes, super early. Really needs this kill into Brayden, who is on absolutely no HP. DMB will get it. And especially only being the second player in this lane for now, it's a pretty efficient soul split. So good counter moves from Bird with Clock. Unconventional to see a Geist rotate that early, but I actually do like it there. Gets some value and denies a clean kill from Birdie.
I think it's an interesting decision, right? Because then that also means you left Erebus alone in the lane to actually soak up some farm at 2.8, currently. Oh, Sai actually might be getting dived here. Stomp going to be coming on through, gets reposted away though, and able to back off, but back off for how long? 400 HP, and Arctic's still going to be there. And you can just see, it seems like Bird Clock really want to keep this pressure on and really want to look for some kills to create that advantage, especially for Arctic to have a strong game, but he's currently only at 2.3 at the moment. Oh no, and he gets stunned as well.
Looks like Tanner did make it to the high ground, so he's still going to be having prio on that buff. Looks like it is going to be double buff for Bird with Clock. 2 kills potentially coming on the map. John on just about 1 HP here and takes the Geist Bomb. Good read from DMB. Predicted that move toward the exit at just the right moment. Movement buff on Apollo is kind of the dream in the early game too. Like, usually the issue for this character is just being able to get in and get out and connect your cooldowns, but that is not going to be a problem with the movement buff online. Spear buff for Matt, so certainly the Deadlock gods are on the side of Bird with Clock, at least here at the 5-minute mark.
Oh man, even the follow-up kill with Sai goes down once again. This was the lane swap that we had happen, I believe, if not mistaken, because it was Graves originally sitting in middle, and it looks like Saya has traded positions with them, but he's just having a tough game. Maybe the Listic special here is Tanner on 1 HP, the airdrop and the Iridomini, the flying sentry gun coming on through.
Is he in the Veil? Where is he? He's right. Okay, no, he's just juking, but oh, good shot from John. Does get the finish. And I mean, you can see Birdie and John moving around the map. They're going to be happy to take a side lane here. I like this for Predator. John, I think, has been having one of the better games of melee creep so far. Him and Birdie pretty much on top of the soul graph. Another hook from Erebus. He's been lights out with it so far this game. Chain gang comes in. Oh, sick repulse on the chain gang. Turns it around onto the Mina. Assists the laser. Talasan doesn't quite get the angle in time. He's holding. He's waiting. Saya eventually steps up and gets absolutely blasted for his troubles. And that tower is done and dusted in the mid lane.
My lord, like Sai got murdered there. As Cooper's going to fall here on this right-hand side. The pressure is being quite insurmountable here for Stride and Matt together. Death Slam, I think, was using this one, but the casting buff here for Matt is a little bit frustrating, I feel like, if you're on the other end of this spectrum. But the pressure, man, Bird with Clock up to a 3K lead, about to take down another Guardian. Only 1 left to go on this left-hand side of the map, and I mean, so far they're looking pretty damn solid, but it comes down to, again, that teamwork. And Tanner is almost going to be blown up here by John looking to escape here with the help of the trap. Going down in just a few seconds.
3 knives. Birdie's just desperate, trying to finish the kill. He will get it, but the knives sure to take out Arctic, though. Does go down in return, with Saya also showing up, so melee creeps bringing a lot of numbers to this fight. Economy-wise, though, they are being punished elsewhere on the map, right? Losing pretty significant lead of souls here, but getting that tower back is going to mitigate their losses. 2K soul deficit, not the end of the world, but come close to that 8-minute mark, this control around the lanes is going to be particularly crucial with Sinners about to spawn. I think both teams are going to look for these early contests, especially Bird with Clock, but they are empty as far as the ultimate bank goes.
I don't know what's happening. There's been so mmany swaps constantly across the map. Sai has been in every lane except the right-hand side. Nox coming on through, looking for a connection. And she on to DMB, so already very low on HP. And the Rain comes on through, catches him out off guard and stride now. At least he does have Tanner off to his side. And a low HP Braden just on 80 HP. Gets
nice
around
moves.
the corner and can't be chased. Oh my gosh, the connection can't come in out of Tanner.
Flawless advance, though, coming up in a few seconds. Surely the finish can come in. The silence isn't enough. Just barely, I think Birdie is going to be able to save Braden. At what cost, though? It takes a pretty significant amount of damage himself. The trade comes in. This time it's Saya who ends up going down to Erebus. And the fights, Jason, they've been thick and fast. Constant battles here in our opening match in North America. Bird with Clock, though, they came to play. This is the kind of match you wanted if you'd go for a draft like this. They want to push the tempo. They want to find these early fights to generate that lead. But so far, melee creeps have been able to prevent the worst of the losses.
Can we get a look at the death counter here? I think we're going to be impressed by something. The fact that I think Saya has like the most deaths in the game. Okay, 3. I thought it was way worse than that.
Following
but he's also
in
like
the proud footsteps of Listic.
but he's also one of the highest earners on the team. I mean, he's just like a little bit behind John. So he's been constantly around the map farming, getting these kills and creating value. And there we go. Another kill comes on through, this time on a DMB. So Saya, credit to him, man. If he's getting a Listic power buff, like you mentioned.
Got no fear being shown. Both teams may look to clean up those doubles sooner rather than later, though. Lot of souls to be had in the Sinner sacrifices. Pretty farm aggressive build from Birdie here, though. I actually rarely see this in competitive to actually go for the Titanic mag into the Tesla bullets. I mean, this is essentially an all-in farming build for now. I suspect he'll maybe spec back from here into a more diverse range of items, but he could rob a lot of jungle with this build. We'll see how he ends up using it.
Hopefully aggressively, hope on the other side of the map. Because there's a lot of people that want that farm on themselves.
Oh, he's in big trouble. I think the 4th knife is going to be able to kill here. Maybe a finish comes in, trade onto Arctic, but the bleed out, not even necessary. It's Natalia San that finishes off Saya, who has been getting as good as he's getting in this game.
Bro, Tanner's still going in, though. Braden's low on HP. And Goober's been forced back to help out. Lose Poshy Pop on the right-hand side of the map, right in time for the buffs to spawn, which means Bird with Clock not going to secure both. Birdie does get the gun buff on the left-hand side. They see it themselves, the vitality on the right, the extra HP. But man, we got to take a look at the farm here, because again, we've had like no time to really talk about much. Matt's on 10,000 souls currently, even on a streak as well. And Bird with Clock definitely looking to dunk this earn on through, but I do worry for DMB. 3 players on the left-hand side. You shut him down. He's already at 7.8k souls. He's going to have a tough time in the rest of this game. And they're going to go for the dive on him.
2 TCs bought up from Bird with Clock trophy collectors, that is. Arctic even buying one. Kind of surprising to see it on Shiv. I could see that radius, though, maybe being kind of nice in the late game. An earn dunk comes in. None of these souls can be contested, but huge gun damage here on this side. Birdie and John making great use of the Ivy build and the gun buff. They're going to open a Walker extraordinarily early into this game. I just don't think Bird with Clock expected that level of aggression on the punish. They're trying to put some pressure on the opposite side of the map, but I don't really see pushing into a pocket with Affliction. Arctic, though, maybe not scared of getting into a fight, but doesn't want to just feed away kills looking for TC stacks. Matt, though, even without the Death Slam, somehow kills Poshibop, who has frankly been suffering on pocket in this game. Maybe more kills to be found by the Lash, who is on a crazy streak without a single soul invested into Vitality. He is all in on the damage, and so far it's paid off.
That is so surprising to see, but like you said, paying off for him. If you can keep getting kills like this, so why not? Yeah. Especially if you're making Poshibop have such a difficult time at 7.6k souls, and he's struggling.
I mean, he could go first green item, Siphon Bullets. That would be the Chad build here. Ultimate Chad. Just do not buy green items until you buy Siphon. Full damage build. Oh, Matt, though, hey, this super low got nuked by Goober and backed off of the lane.
I'm looking more towards the later stage of this. We talked about Bird with Clock, individualism around it. I feel like with the later the game that we get, the more they're going to struggle up against melee creeps here, especially if you get these afflictions maxed out and online. But I wonder, like, what's their pivot point? Like, Arctic is struggling a little bit. I feel like you have to depend on Matt and Erebus to open up these fights. DMB's also been having a tough time, even though his souls doesn't necessarily reflect it. He got killed on the left-hand side, which did eventually turn into a Walker take for John. And then, of course, you have Goober, who's got the Veil Walker, so he's running around looking for some quick snipes. Even has Express Shot picked up.
I like Goober's build here, going for the Spirit Shielding over a lot of people would build Trophy Collector in this spot on Viscous, but I think it makes sense because you have such good late game team fight. You don't need to greed on the Viscous for a crazy late game. You just need to get to that point and keep the rest of your team in the fight. Saya, not going to be kept in this fight. He's actually going to be pulled out of it towards this Rift battle, and bringing Billy in is a perfect moment here. Riposte is good. It blocks some of the follow-up, and even hooked deep now. Saya could find himself in real trouble. Pops the chain gang, but where's the follow-up for it? Lash hold zones players away, but Birdie over the top stomps down on the Lash. And with the Rift about to be capped, you got to stay in this one. One player down on both sides. Erebus now opens up with the laser beam, stunned out with a beautiful roll from Goober, who's now looking for more value in this fight. But players from Bourbon Clock are starting to drop health low across the board. Seems like melee creeps getting the better end of this fight so far.
Man, Goober's doing some serious work here in this fight. The Rift is about to despawn on through here too. If no one can lock this one down, Goober, he gets the melee onto Stride before he just fall to Tanner. And Tanner's back in this fight, trying to take down Birdie with the hook in out of Erebus. I think Birdie might go down here, but Poshipop's still alive.
DMB somehow coming back into this. He might be able to clutch this one out. And I thought for sure melee creeps were going to be able to get the better of it. Now it's just Poshipop stalling as much as he can. Picks up a kill onto Tanner. Would love to be able to deny this Rift. It would be a comeback Rift if the enemies are able to cap it, but eventually he goes down the Rift. Oh, just fades away at the last moment. I think all the souls are going to be... Well, actually, as I say that, the souls are actually being traded pretty well here. So it's a kind of an insane fight with both teams losing a ton of kills, but Barwith Clock getting a lot of trophy collector stacks, to say the least, off of that. I mean, Shiv and Stride, or Shiv and Calico, gonna be pretty happy about that.
I think the downside for them, though, is they're still going to be behind overall when it comes to souls. And I still think the later this game goes on, the more and more Barwith Clock is going to fall off, especially with the way melee creeps are playing. They're kind of all grouped up. I mean, Erebus had a couple of kills here or there, yeah, but it's not really been easy kills, and it's not necessarily been in like catching up stragglers for melee creeps. It's more of like getting hooks in the middle of a fight to get kills, not to open up fights.
Interesting that we saw in Saya's build there, he actually did go for the max rising ramp. So, okay, interesting. He's valuing that extra max HP. The tankiness may be important in a game like this. The Nox Nostra silence from Braden, though, is just too much. Matt, without any skills able to be deployed under that silence, just cannot get into the fight, and Saya's going to pick up a tower as his reward.
Do you think with the max HP change on the Rising Ram, that Rem becomes more valuable for Billy now? Because you're already getting like extra health from like Blasted, but then you pair that with the fact you get 10% extra max HP, means tag along heals you way more as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some of those max HP heals could be good. You know, what else? I could also see Colossus being an insane item now on Billy. I mean, not that it wasn't already, but maybe an even more desirable choice to get just ridiculously tanky. And honestly, especially in this game, maybe he just is going to have to soak a lot of damage on Billy. Like, there's no situation where you initiate a fight and you don't take a face full of nukes from Shiv and Lash and Calico and Apollo. Like, that's just going to happen every time. So the tankiness could be especially useful. Lassus on the Souls, pretty contested, but it seems like Mina gets the lion's share of those. So melee creeps develop what was a small lead now into one that's turning pretty significant. Birdie almost has Capacitor, which actually is going to be a monster item this game with how many movement skills the enemy team relies on. It is going to hurt if you get Capacitor. You're going to find yourself in real trouble.
Doing BRS as well, helps out Saya, and of course John. That's a pretty good movement too. Not able to be chased down by DMB. He's coming at 16,000.
Great hook.
Able to turn into a kill though.
Yeah, no problem. Here it is once again, back out of the frying pan into the fire. Unfortunately, Rising Ram looks like catches on a player there, gets the extra health, but yeah, this one doesn't seem likely. Bird with Clock actually going to lose 2 key players there, or rather, Bailey Creep's going to lose 2 key players to Bird with Clock. They could look for something here, and wow, a mid-boss call. This is confident. They really need a lot of heavy melee damage here. Both side waves are going to be pushing it against them. Very confident move. They've got some ultimates to follow it up, and in fairness, a lack of control here for the enemy team. There's not really any reliable mid-boss securing stuns on melee creeps. It's what the shotgun from John doesn't seem the most consistent in the pit. This may need to be giving up rejuves here. Players coming in, Affliction comes in. 1 rejuve picked up, 2nd and even a 3rd grabbed. The entire prize going to Bird with Clock. They might lose players in the progress, but happy to make these trades happen. Arctic barely staying alive. Surely he's going to tick out from the bloodletting after the Affliction, but he's still alive for now on Shiv.
Matt just trying to back off, trying to lure them away, maybe separate the side of melee creeps. Saya's here in the mix.
This could go really ugly here, Jason. A hook back in. Saya in deep. The kill's starting to pour in. Still 2 regions available. Clock healthy across the board. Rising Ram gets him to the Walker. Maybe that'll be the end of the chase. Melee creeps some good movement to cut their losses.
I just noticed as well in that fight, it looked like there was a silence wave thrown out of Stride. I'm guessing it's on Stride to actually stop Poshipop from getting an affliction off when he went in towards the pit, and then just kind of put him in a rough position where he couldn't like get into his briefcase. He couldn't cape away. He actually tried to use the cape to maybe to get in, but that was really punishing. And we haven't really seen silence wave picked up a lot when it comes to EU. I'm not sure if this is more of a staple in North America, but
I like
really
this game a lot.
play.
In this game, you almost need it now. Like, it makes killing the Viscous a much more reasonable prospect. You know, and in this kind of like of a heavy ganking build, I like to see a lot of aggressive actives on the side of Burbot Clock. Like, the nuke damage from silence is meaningful. You force Pocket to build a Dispel Magic a little bit earlier. It's like, it kind of hurts for Pocket, you know? Like, you're a character that wants to be building tons and tons of damage plus Majestic Leap, and if you can skip the Dispel Magic, it really helps accelerate your build, helps you be a lot greedier. But a weak early game for Poshipop now is getting compounded with some aggressive actives bought against him. And you can see that Siphon Bullets queued up. Feels like that's a big power spike for Lash when it's able to come on.
Was that his first Vitality item? That's the question.
He did, in fact, invest into Vitality. He's not a psychopath. It was a good build. Big damage onto Arctic, who shrugs it off and runs away pretty much. Free tower for Erebus. Okay. He's going to be happy to clean that one up. Poshipop can't do much about this.
Yeah, how are you going to go in 1v2 here against them and lose a Walker? So that's going to be a Walker chair on the right and the left-hand side from before. And man, the aggression at Tanner, he just shows no sign of wanting to stop. The Eternal Sun coming on through, but gets stone formed away. It's not going to kill John Birdie.
Should be able to finish off John. Surely he's caught dead to rights here in the cube, but where's his escape from here? Playing with the rejuice, Burbot Clock, full confidence here. No cares, willing to give up some kills. One last shot available to Iradomini. Surely he's in trouble. Gets as much damage as he can out before he goes down. John, king of 1 HP here. Wait, how is he alive? What is John? What sort of black magic sacrifice did John do to get out of that scenario? I actually cannot believe he lived. That is insane. Well played. Burbot Clock, though, still getting all 3 rejuice out and for value. They are afflicted on 2, but maybe a bit of an overextension. Yeah, into the Lash ult and the laser. Big connection out of Matt. Massive team fight, in fact. The afflicted players just disrespecting this fight. Burbot Clock looking to turn this one into a decisive advantage. Maybe 3 kills and potentially a Walker to be had. Maybe even Viscous as well.
Now, I did not expect that to go back the way with Burbot Clock. How things started out with John survived on the left-hand side, as you pointed out. They're able to just power through with the use of this Death Slam to just open up this entire fight, take down John as well, and clean up Birdie. Arctic is on a kill streak of 4, and they get that mid Walker to boot. This is going to be a 20k lead now built up for Burbot Clock, but they have to be careful. That left lane is still shoving, attacking on their base Guardians already. No mid boss to take. There is an urn available, so this could be a pretty huge swing in favor of Burbot Clock now.
I will say that huge wave is going to be a pretty penny into the pockets of Burbot Clock as they counter push. The map is full of farms, so the priority is going to be getting those sinners, claiming the permanent buffs, and just overall the game plan from Burbot Clock. I just want to say I'm really impressed with this. Like, they clearly came into this match ready to take this opponent on, right? Melee Creeps has been, I think, really known as an extremely strong late game team in North America. Like, they're really good in these key team fights around mid boss. They're really good towards the late game at playing for their win conditions. And Burbot Clock have just come in with an absolute blitzkrieg. It feels like it's caught them off guard. John has not been able to hit his typical farm levels. He's barely been able to farm. He's been forced into the fights because Burbot Clock are just constantly keeping the pressure on. 2 Walkers down. I mean, this is a really scary position. Let's take a look at the replay. Lash ult of that last fight, and oh, that's painful. 2 players inches from safety, instead sent crashing down to their deaths.
Huge play by Matt there, and we've already known Matt to be a phenomenal Lash player, but to open things up like that, as well as Art to clean up these kills, you can look back at a play like that to potentially secure them a spot here in the grand finals, where there's 4,000 at stake here, provided by Intel for Intel's Gamer Days and Best Buy, of course. Crazy stuff out of Arctic. And this is what we said about like individuals. Do you ban out certain individual players because they're so good at certain heroes? Maybe Shiv is one of those for Arctic, but I feel like I got asked a question earlier on from Dan. Is he undervalued as Shiv? And I think we're seeing a different thing over in North America.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, banning Shiv in this meta feels crazy. It's just, it hasn't been that good of a pick. I wonder, though, if this Billy matchup is not significantly worse against Shiv than it was before, because Shiv is a hero who naturally wants to build to a pretty high flat HP total, right, to make use of the bloodletting tankiness and just to be able to get into the thick of the fight the way he wants to, where the max HP damage from Rising Ram was extremely effective at just bursting down the Shiv, attacking him in the front line. Now that matchup has felt a lot more contested. Pretty defensive build from the Billy as Saya desperately wants to connect to Chain Gang, just barely gets one in, but a riposte. Should be no trouble for Tanner to back out of this one, disengaging Sigil. And John even rips the Hermini. Erebus is super low. See if there's going to be able to be a finish here with both Birdie and Goober into the backline. First kill does come in favor of the melee creeps, but now it's evened up 5-on-5 in the team fight.
And some serious work being done by Matt here, as we talked about. The reduced range on the damage fall off now for Lash, not really seeming to matter for him at the moment, as John's caught between a rock and a hard place, and he gets killed off and finished off here by DMB. A 21k lead now built up for Bird with Clock, but they are losing quite a few players. They're down 3 already in this skirmish. Just finally Stride's able to join in the fight. Goober's just trying to escape here off to the side with the help of the Puddle Punch to get away, as their mid base Guardians are under attack from these minions. But Bird with Clock, all they know is W. All they know is just charge on forward here, and they pick up another kill.
Yeah, and the difference in trophy collector buys starting to add up here. Bird with Clock, I'm sure they're pretty much fully stacked at this point with how incredibly aggressive this game has been. Stride uses that economy to pick up an Arctic Blast. It's going to make John's life in particular, I think, hell, where you get that huge AoE damage amp on a relatively vulnerable, immobile target. Bird with Clock going for the mid-boss, though? I mean, isn't this crazy? No, Jason, this is risky moves. They get the roar out. Maybe instead they're just going to turn for the kill. A Dispel and a Cape out, but Erebus is on the case. Marks Pashibov got baited into that mid-boss fight. Maybe had no choice but to contest it. But now Birdie also throwing good money after bad. No ability to escape, at least for the moment, trying his best to get away, but you're in the wrong neighborhood. This is the enemy side of the map, and eventually Bird with Clock will find those kills. DMB, though, goes down in the trade, and that's an extremely long spawn. So now things get crazy down in the pit.
I mean, the fighting's never stopped here. We're looking out on the outside, but constant battle here as Goober's fallen already. John in a really precarious position here as he gets finished off. Somehow Erebus is still putting up some serious value here, but also so is Arctic here in this tight close quarter combat. The slice and dice is just pelting through his opponents. Braden at least one saving grace, keeps it relatively equal here in a 1-on-3. Nox Nostra is up, but against these 3, I don't think you're gonna win this fight.
He's got to do what he can. He's got to try to put some damage down. He's going to put the Nox Nostra on 3. It's a lot of damage, but it's being shared across the Bird with Clock players. It's not the decisive burst that you were looking for. Pashpop is respawned. He's going to be running back into this fight just as quick as he can, and there's still a lot of health on this Mina, though. But as the cooldowns start to run low, she's in real trouble. Italia Lasan, Curse is good. One rejuve snatched away will get Brayden back into this fight, but Bird with Clock, 3 mana flick from Pashipop. Maybe they'll be able to fight through it. They're just shrugging off the damage so far.
Oh my god, the one Rejuve Crystal Braden still keeps him alive here, and he gets the Nox Nostra out. No way does he escape this.
He might live. He might live. Cannot afford a zip knock, and Arctic is ready and waiting on the other side. Birdie, the ultimate, just a little bit too long on cooldown to go for the save. And that's a big fight win for Bird with Clock, taking a huge risk there, but pays off. Confidence.
I need to see this player damage across the board here. Matt's on 32,000 souls. He almost has to be towards the top in my eyes. Constantly alive in these fights. 34,000 damage being done. I mean, he's been the MVP. He's been the star of Bird with Clock here so far. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I also got to give a lot of credit to Erebus. He's been very clean on the hooks, like so many finds, and has really been enabling the team to keep up the pace. Unstop is the buy for Matt too, so don't see that damage train stopping anytime soon. I don't see how the hell you're going to deal with this Lash with Unstop purchased up here. And even an interesting sharpshooter buy for Lash. Maybe mitigating some of that damage fall off nerf. Not an item we see bought every game, although maybe also relatively core for Lash.
No way you hit this hook.
It's a comeback rift. No, you don't even go. You just dunk the urn in, man. I guess it's on this side of the map. Maybe he's not going to dunk the urn, just taking it as the battle flag. Attempted hook just slightly goes wide. Would have loved to pull some players out of the air. Double rejuve still available, though. Bird with Clock, they're showing a lot of interest in taking this fight, but no, the rip is picked up by melee creeps. That does also take their resists away. Bird with Clock now desperately looking for kills. A 5-man chain gang from Saya, though, comes in. Is he able to brawl this one out? Actually, maybe a good start to the fight, but Saya starting to get overwhelmed, starting to get low. The cube comes in at the perfect moment for Goober, as well as this goo ball. It's just devastating the team fight for Bird with Clock. They still have one more region to work with. There's a lot of players starting to get low now, Jason.
I'm surprised to see Bird Clock take this fight, considering the resists that melee creeps are gonna have, but it's still gonna work out in the end. They used one of the crystals that was Matt to actually soak it on up. They take down Goober and Saya, and the Walker on the right hand side of the map is being taken down here by those rift minions, and they will get a Walker for free here for melee creeps. Well, I say for free, it costs them a hell of a lot of their lives. John's just trying to escape, but Matt, he's not done. He's putting the business on in this game, even looking for the Mina now as Braden's the last alive.
Arctic will have her heads, man. Double side waves crashing. The wave state is horrific here for Bird with Clock, but Tanner's on the case. He should be able to clean this one up and get a ton of farm on this Apollo, who is actually going to be disgustingly rich after he clears both of these side waves. Crushing Fists is the buy for Saya, who wants to just continue to double down on the raw damage. But with the base guards down, Shrine's now available, and the backdoor protection couldn't come off at a better moment just as they step up onto the Shrine. This will be at a very minimum one Shrine cleared, maybe even a second on the cards, but with the Rejuve expiring, Saya and Birdie up on the respawn, Bird Clock are gonna, for once in this game, play things a little bit more patiently, a little bit more slowly, and go farm the map, get some buys off before the next team.
40k lead. Insane stuff, man. I'm looking at like some individuals here. Matt on 36k. This is why I don't do math,
Jason. It's 30k.
Yeah, I mean, I said it was, 3 a.m. here, and I'm just proving my point even more, man. 30k lead. That's what I said, I think.
Erebus is evaporated by the Ivy bomb here, bringing in the Umbrella bioweapon Billy. So that combo is still pretty scary. Immediate spirit resilience bot from Erebus. He's like, yeah, I had enough on that one.
Oh, he passed my test, the math test. I'm proud of you.
Finally, I can graduate high school.
Actually, look at Stride on the left-hand side. I think
is he in the tunnel?
Yeah, he might be. But one thing I was mentioning in some of the EU games as well is like the extra vision you get from having like a Lash. I mean, in the Buffendor's game against Abraham's, having a Vindicta, but also having a Calico. Like you gain so much information where everyone is to create opportunities and to create like an information war that you can kind of win, to know when you can take fights and kind of when you can't. And especially if you can, get Poshy Pop out of position that you don't have to worry about an Affliction, which I think is like the one thing you really have to focus on. Affliction plus the chain gang combo. And you can take these fights and you can take these wins, and Matt can continue to pump out this damage almost at the 40k mark in souls.
These comeback souls are pretty nice for melee crepes. Another Ivy pickup. They want to just keep the tempo going. Trying to fly in on top of this Apollo, who finds himself silenced and bursted down. So melee creeps extend a chain of kills here. That extreme long spawn for Erebus gets punished into a follow-up kill, and this is where, I mean, we still have a huge lead here, right, for Bird with Clock. I don't want to understate that, but, and it's Deadlock, and these comeback mechanics, a couple bad fights, a couple bad kills can go against you. We know Melee Creeps is a team that will find the way back in if you leave any kind of opening for them. Still, I mean, this feels like Bird with Clock should be the team advantage to take it to the money match, but anything's possible in this one.
What worries me, though, is if they stop being aggressive, they start respecting melee creeps too much. I feel like that's where the mistakes can be made here. A good hook in onto Braden. It should be a relatively easy kill. The sound wave on top of that, too.
That's the soul leader for melee creeps. They're going to come into this fight. Oh, and they've already lost two. Uh-oh, Saya airlifted. Does he really want to go in? Yeah, I think melee creeps wisely going to call this one off. And speaking of that disrespect, that's a really good call, Jason, because they, with a man down, they step up on the enemy side of the map there, gambling that Saya would be going for the Urn Dunk at that moment, and they guessed correctly. He wasn't there at the start of the fight, wasn't there to punish early. And so the disrespect pays off. Now DMB, he's the one who's in potentially real trouble. A big AoE silence on a lot of players, though. I think he's done enough on DMB to delay this fight. Now Arctic getting into the brawl. Saya getting incredibly low. DMB does fall, but he's done enough. The rest of Bird with Clock still healthy, now swarming over, and a cape caught on the wall will be the death of Pashipov, almost surely. Can't afford to take the jump pad. Actually, wait, maybe no one was chasing him down. Okay, actually, maybe Pashipov is okay, but what's not okay is the Hidden King base. Two waves crashing. Maybe even one more kill to be found here. Ooh, Erebus. He's good for these. Oh, and the zip knock too. He's done. And that'll be probably the game here with mid boss going down, as well as second shrine to be taken by Erebus. This is a nightmare scenario. Melee creeps in rare form may actually be falling out of this competition in the challenger match.
I think it would be quite a big surprise, to be honest. I think most people out there, especially the people who maybe didn't predict Bird with Clock, who should have. We talked about the value bet and how the generational wealth that can be created, and it's just on the precipice of that happening. But Braden trying to defend the shrine. It hasn't gone down just yet, though mid boss has fallen. Reju crystals coming in a few seconds. So Bird with Clock needs to survive for now to not let these crystals go to waste.
Gonna get a reju if he needs a reju. Somebody get him a reju. Okay, they've got some rejus. Okay, Erebus is gonna be fine. He's not even gonna go down the ones. they want to get the drop while these players are dead, and they're going to be able to find it. So, I mean, honestly, with this kind of a lead, triple rejuve, finishing the game should be a formality for Perfect Clock. Like, this game should just be over, dead to rights. And melee creeps, they're a little bit low on the ultimates. I think Bird with Clock are going to heal up, get some big buys off, and send it to finish the game here. I think that is the best move they can.
10,000. Okay, it has to be changed now with E-Ship being picked up by Arctic and Divine Barrier. Oh my God, Arctic just got insanely strong. Those two items alone. I mean, the Afflictions were already having a tough time. We saw one used before, and DB had a good counterspell, which kicked off the engagement out of Bird with Clock. And now with DB on top of this, just really making Poshy Pop not really amount to much in the fights with the Afflictionist. He can hit multiple players, but with Cursed Relic picked up here for Erebus and the Veil Walker make him such a threat. Yeah, it's so scary to be anywhere on your map right now.
Oh. That could be the finish with the curse coming in. Do they have the damage follow-up? Mina and, yes, they have the damage follow-up. Braden is evaporated there. Nasty hook from Erebus. I mean, how much can you really even counterplay against that? Trying to stay on the map, trying to show any kind of presence on the lane. And instead, you lose your most farmed. Zip not gonna hyperline on Sire. Oh, let it end, Jason. It's too painful. The chain gang comes in. The Ivy save pulls some players in, but the Affliction, he pulled them away from the Affliction. Doesn't look like he caught anybody here. The Unstop secures the games with triple rejuve in hand. Bird with Clock, with one of their best performances ever, I dare say the best, are going to make their way to the money match. And with double prize pool on the line, it couldn't come in a better week here, Jason.
I mean, Goober's trying to stall. He's trying to buy time. There's no Affliction that was used before. I don't think Refresher's picked up either. So there's really nothing you can do to halt Bird with Clock here from finishing off this game. Just trying to buy any moments you possibly can, but they're fleeting moments here. And like you said, Bird with Clock, I mean, they get a chance to win their share of the $4,000 prize pool brought to us by Intel Gamer Days. And of course, Best Buy. Bro, Bird with Clock, I mean, beyond this win, you made some people in chat really rich with channel points. I have to say that. Hopefully for your guys' sake, you can make yourselves rich off this prize pool if you can take down Pauper's pupils.
Yeah, the believers are looking wealthy right now, and maybe there's just a shred of a chance for Bird with Clock to join them, breathing that rarefied air, picking up some of our double prize pool this week because they're going on to the money match. Facing the champs, though, is a different game. I mean, Pauper's Pupils are a team that loves to bring this kind of pace and won't back down from a fight, even as aggressive as Bird with Clock were in this first game. So a lot to be decided in that money match. But let's take a little look back through this match because this was, God, it felt like just a different Bird with Clock team. They brought a different energy to this week's match.
I think it was I hate to say it, but it goes back to the draft individualism and just like the individuals on those specific heroes really excelled. Arctic gets Shiv, one of his like best heroes. Matt gets Lash, one of his best heroes. Erebus gets oh my God, what's his name? Bebop, one of his best heroes. I'd even go to say maybe this was like a disrespect draft out of melee creep because you gave them so many of the heroes that they're so damn good on, and maybe didn't push them to other heroes that you could probably beat them with.
Yeah, and maybe some fearless confidence in those individual plays. It pays off, right? And this game comes down to a lot of these low numbers fights. I'm thinking about, the Rift engagement. I'm thinking about some of these mid bosses, but so many moments like this too. Erebus, I just feel like you give him the Bebop, you are asking for serious trouble. He's so sharp on this hero. He's so consistent at every stage of the game, from putting up a good show in the lane to developing through the match and continuing to contribute in key team fights. So despite Birdie and John looking really strong in the opener, the early game, they just couldn't keep up. It felt like melee creeps with the pace. They were pushed out of their comfort zone, which is certainly a recipe for success for Bird with Clock, but not something easy to replicate, right? It's easy to say, yeah, just take melee creeps out of their comfort zone, but few teams have been able to accomplish it. So really well-deserved win for Bird with Clock. Excited to see how far they can take it today.
There's something you said I want to hop back to about Erebus, and Erebus gets Bebop and he makes himself a threat the entire game. I feel like it's relatively easy as a Bebop player to have early game presence and power, but then you fall off the later the game goes on. But as we saw, that hook onto Braden was basically the final nail in the coffin for melee creeps, and for him to still be effective with the Veil Walker and the build that he chose to go for, just he kept his value as the hero throughout the entire game. I think that's really important to note here for Bird with Clock and him in particular.
I agree. I think the Holiday ban was actually really smart here in a way to protect the Bebop. From my perspective, Holiday is maybe one of the better, I would say, soft counters to Bebop, because it's so damn hard to hook a Holiday while she's padding around with the crazy Eric cell. It's just ridiculously hard for Bebop to hit that. And vice versa is not true. Bebop's a very easy target for the lasso every time you step up for the hook. So this was a game in which Erebus just had a lot more of a comfortable matchup situation. Melee creeps with some very scary team fight, but without the same ability to like get active and brawl on the map. Bebop, felt comfortable forcing these fights. Like, we are going to fight you over and over and over again. We know we have the better draft for it. And Erebus is good to land the hook. So it feels like the stars align for Bird with Clock getting a style where everybody's comfortable. Everybody's playing a hero they like. Take a look at the death. So it wasn't a clean game from Bird with Clock by any stretch of the imagination, but they were down to get scrappy. Pashipop, John, and Saya all taking 10 plus deaths. Like, that is crazy levels of beatdown and competitive Deadlock.
I don't think I've seen that happen even in like their other losses. I don't really see them get that many deaths.
This is a burger box for the ages, actually. This is a crazy tempo game.
I mean, 32 deaths between those three compared to the 52 in total for Bird with Clock is kind of nutty, to be fair. But also look at the assists here out of Bird with Clock. Erebus on 33, Stride on 33. And Goober actually put out the most damage in this game as well, but Matt like right behind him on the Lash. Arctic just cleaned up kills left, right, and center. I think this was a really impressive show. And not to mention, our producer Solomon just reminded us that this is the first challenger match win from BWC since number 42. We're on 51 right now. And
yeah, it's been a lot of L's for them.
It's been 9. Yeah,
it's been a lot of L's for them in the challenger match. Like, frankly, I've kind of got to the point where maybe I'm not expecting them to do that well in the challenger match. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see them putting up a good show. And I gotta say, DMB stocks, right? Like, this, it feels like when this guy comes onto a team, it's not just, I'm not even just his play individually, which I think was fine, solid this game. Like, nothing spectacular, let's say, but let's be honest, he's playing Lady Guys. He's kind of a role player in that sense in this kind of a match. But the team overall felt like a different animal this time, and I wonder if that's not some influence from the calling, from the communication on the squad.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, DMB is one of like the most experienced players in North America when it comes to comp plays. So adding him onto the team is always an addition, whether it gives you the gameplay in game or the discussions out of game to help you elevate the team. But for Bird with Clock, as far as we can tell, they're 0-10 in finals matches. They have not won a single map in our finals here in the night shift. But luckily for them, they have the chance to do so. And I think it's going to come off the back of a certain player in particular, probably our MVP of this match, Jake. And I would have to give it to Matt, honestly.
Yeah, great performance in the Lash. I mean, this hero has risen through the ranks now to maybe become meta defining, right? With teams taking him in the first pick slot more often than we have seen in quite some time. And you see why. It's like, consistency, strength in the early game, a good lane where he can greed a very aggressive early item build, such as the one he has here in this highlight, and then continue to be hugely relevant, being exceptionally hard to catch in the late game, and having very serious sustained gun damage through a fight. Like, Siphon Bullets is a ridiculous item when you're able to just perma-shoot with such consistency. It just fits Flash so incredibly well. It feels like it makes or breaks this build.
He's getting up to like 700-800 extra HP in these fights, and I mean that extra health on top of this when you're already flying.
Like, huge.
And you're not even like taking direct damage. You're just kind of flying around the edges of these fights, and you're still putting out some serious work here, as we saw, like the Siphon Unstoppable as well. The Sharpshooter, I think that's an interesting thing. Maybe that is the addition or the adaptation to the changes to the fall-off damage for Lash, as we were mentioning during that game. I mean, even able to go toe-to-toe here up against John and the Venator is kind of just dirty. I mean, look at his health. It really doesn't fall. He took 1,300 damage there, and he still had over 3k health left.
Yeah, just absolute disrespect here. Out carrying the Venator. Not a common sight when it comes to late game Deadlock. Match absolutely abounding with highlights for Matt. And as we said, like a big win for this team, right? Like some real wind in their sails in a time of, frankly, doldrums for them, where they've struggled to have like these big results. Maybe this is the week where, hey, you have a great showing against a top team like Melee Creeps. Sky's the limit in the money match, but of course in the best of 3, like one explosive game is not going to get the job done. You're going to need to have consistency. You're going to need to have, diversity across drafts, because on the other side of the field, Pauper's Pupils are pretty dominant. So, of course, we're all excited to see how that shakes up. So we're going to get the players working on that. But this brings us to a perfect moment in the show to show some love to Intel Gamer Days, guys. The reason we've been able to double the prize pool through these 4 weeks for the Intel Gamer Days is to let you guys know there's incredible discounts on PCs on a ton of different retailers. For North America, you check out Best Buy. And of course, with qualifying purchase, you can get 2 games with your purchase, both Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis, and Star Wars Galactic Racer. Just get those, alongside your purchase. Extra little incentive for you to upgrade your PC. But everybody needs a new PC these days. Everybody's been waiting for a sign, waiting for the crop circles to align to pull the trigger. Well, that sign is here. It's now. Get a couple of games, qualifying purchase. Check out the link in the chat, guys, !IGD to get all the info.
And I also need to take a look here at the Galactic Race. I might be like too old for you to not have played this before, but did you ever play like the Star Wars pod racing game way back in the day?
You are, in fact, that may be too old for me. You are correct.
That's just making sure. That was such a sick game, and I think I would have to say I would love to play Galactic Racer here if I get my qualifying purchase in as well. But this is so cool to see it again. Like Intel have been with us since day one, so always happy to have them, tag it along. And of course, the Intel Gamer Days as well is such a cool little thing to have for everyone looking to get better PC, get better deals off of anything they could possibly want when it comes to gaming. And yeah, once again, big love to them.
Yeah, hardware's expensive. You got to find those discounts where you can get them. So lot of love there. But of course, guys, that brings us to a short break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to be moving on to the money match, hotly anticipated. A new contender enters the arena to fight for the #1 slot in North America. So you don't want to go anywhere. We'll see you guys in just a few minutes.